My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of The Fault in Our Stars. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I remember back in June 2014, everybody was talking about how excited they were for this movie. I even believe I read news stories that they were handing out tissues before this film, but I still went in with low expectations. And I was blown away by it. Like, this movie was far, far better than I was expecting, and I found it to be a truly heartbreaking film. And I think I watched it a couple more times in 2014 and 2015, but it has been over a decade since I last watched it, so I just gave it another go last night, and it's not as good as I remember. It's still decent, I still like it, and it is definitely emotional, but maybe I'm just getting old. But I found these characters to be a bit more annoying. So, let's begin by talking about the cast, and Shailene Woodley does a great job here. She carries the movie incredibly well, she brought lots of emotional weight, and she's always convincing as Hazel Grace. Ansel Elgort is also very good here. He brings lots of life and personality to his character, and I just thought he really stood out here. And the movie relies on their chemistry. The movie relies on their romance, and fortunately, they knock it out of the park. You really do care for these two as a couple. And then we've got Sam Trammell, who is serviceable here, but nothing great. We've got Laura Dern, who does a fine enough job, but once again, nothing great. We've got Nat Wolff, who does a pretty decent job, and Willem Dafoe. I did not know he was in this movie when I first saw it, so when he shows up on screen, it was like a Willem Dafoe jump scare, but he does do a pretty decent job. He's one of those characters that I kinda agree with some of what he's saying about how the story ends when the story ends, but then he just keeps going and he says some truly awful stuff to make him into a bad character, and yeah, he's a douche, but he still has good points. But anyways, the best part about this movie is just how romantic and how sweet and how heartbreaking this movie is. You get truly invested, and when the ending happens, it just feels like a punch to the gut. You really do feel that loss. And I do like how this movie is about finding purpose in life. I love how this movie explores the possibility of death on any given day. I like how this movie talks about how we want to be remembered. I like how this movie even has moments where the characters wonder about what happens after death. It's just a movie about life and death and how you choose to deal with that. And I do find it to be very moving in that regard. I also do like how, for the first bit of the movie, you do think, it's about cancer, so you know somebody's going to die. And for the first half of the movie, you think it's going to be Hazel Grace. But then, when Gus's cancer returns, you're kind of taken off guard, and it recontextualizes the movie in a very effective manner. So, there's definitely things to like here, but I actually find the direction by Josh Boone to be pretty uninspired. This is a movie that just looks too clean throughout. It looks too sanitized. I'm not saying it has to be dark and grimy, but this is a movie about death, and every scene is lit like it's a sitcom, and I just wish he kind of captured that darkness maybe a bit better. And I'm not saying like the characters have to look terribly ill, but sometimes I wish they felt and looked more sick. Because, yeah, I really do wish the direction was stronger here. But I do like some of the soundtrack choices, like All of the Stars by Ed Sheeran in the credits, All I Want by Codaline, Boom Clap by Charlie XCK, XCX? Anyways, you know the song I'm talking about. Strange Things Will Happen by The Radio Department is a great song, and Not About Angels by Bardi. Some great songs. They could have been utilized in the movie better, but still some solid bops. But the big issue I have with this movie is I forgot just how fucking pretentious the characters are. Like, the movie seems to view them as mature and wise and to have a proper understanding of life, but I just don't agree with that assessment. Like, Hazel is very self-aware, she's very nihilistic, and the movie seems to confuse that for mature. And I didn't really like that. Like, yes, she goes on a character journey, but my goodness, like, even when Gus is talking to Hazel about how much he loves her, he's just describing it in the most pretentious way. And even when, like, you know, Isaac is upset about his girlfriend leaving him, and understandably so, and then he just gives him all these trophies to break. There's something about these characters that feel phony. They lack that authenticity that's really required. And, you know, you're just watching this movie and it just feels like a movie. These feel like movie characters. And, you know, like I said, maybe I'm just getting old, but I found them to be truly annoying at points. And the movie is too long. I feel like this movie could have been trimmed down to an hour and 40 minutes. It definitely overstays its welcome, and I'm not sure if that author plot really added anything. Like, I get it that Hazel put so much of her identity around that book, and she wanted to know what happens next, and, you know, she meets her hero, and he's a big disappointment, and it's her realizing that there's more to life. I get it, but I also thought those ideas existed without her having to meet him. So, yeah, so I still like this movie. The emotion hits, and quite frankly, that is why we go to a movie like this. The one bit of pretentiousness I actually did like is when she talks about the numbers between 0 and 1 are infinite, but the numbers between 0 and 2 are even more infinite. Some infinities are bigger than others. Yeah, it's pretentious, but I actually do find that line to be really sweet. So I like the romance, I like the emotion, and I do like some of the themes this movie is exploring. I just wish the direction was better. I wish the movie was a bit tighter. And I wish the characters weren't so fucking annoying. So I'll give The Fault in Our Stars a 6 out of 10. The second half of May 2014 and the first half of June 2014 was just unbelievably great. Like, you had X-Men Days of Future Past, Maleficent, which is fine, this movie, Edge of Tomorrow, How to Train Your Dragon 2, 22 Jump Street. Like, oh my goodness, what a time to be alive. But The Fault in Our Stars, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.